Elara wasn't a cruel woman. She loved her son Leo fiercely, but Leo, bless his heart, wasn't quick. While other children were reciting multiplication tables, Leo was fascinated by the way dust motes danced in sunbeams. His teachers called it daydreaming. Elara called it a challenge. She remembered the sting of being labeled ordinary herself. She wouldn't let that happen to Leo. So she devised a plan, not a malicious plan, but a strategic one. Instead of focusing on what Leo couldn't do, Elara amplified what he could. His fascination with how things worked? She called it inquisitive genius. His tendency to take apart every toy he owned? Reverse engineering for innovation. His inability to grasp basic arithmetic? Abstract mathematical thinking beyond conventional systems. When Leo brought home a drawing of a fantastical contraption made of gears, springs, and what looked suspiciously like a hamster wheel, Elara didn't sigh and suggest he focus on his spelling. She framed it. "My brilliant son's prototype for a self-propelled cleaning device," she'd announced to anyone who visited. She filled their small apartment with books on inventors, not just their successes but their failures, their quirky habits, their unconventional thinking. She told Leo stories of inventors who were considered odd or slow in their youth, emphasizing how their unique perspectives ultimately led to breakthroughs. "Did you know Edison was kicked out of school for being overly imaginative?" she'd whisper conspiratorially. They just didn't understand his genius. Leo, surrounded by this curated narrative, began to believe it. He wasn't stupid. He was different. He was on the cusp of understanding something others couldn't. Elara enrolled him in workshops on robotics and coding, framing them not as remedial classes, but as advanced genius training. When he struggled, she'd say, "The greatest inventors faced countless setbacks. This just means you're on the verge of a major discovery." One day, Leo, now a lanky teenager with perpetually grease-stained fingers, burst into the kitchen. "Mom, I did it! I finally figured out how to make a self-folding laundry system." Elara, stirring a pot of lentil soup, beamed. "I knew you could, my brilliant boy. I always knew." Leo's invention, while initially clunky and prone to shrinking sweaters, eventually became a local sensation. He started winning science fairs, then scholarships. He was accepted into a prestigious engineering program. Years later, accepting an award for his innovative work in sustainable energy, Leo looked out at the crowd and saw his mother, beaming with pride. He told the story of his childhood, of his mother's unwavering belief in him, how she'd fostered his curiosity and encouraged his outside-the-box thinking. He never mentioned his earlier struggles. He genuinely didn't remember them as struggles. They were just challenges on the path to genius. Elara, watching from the wings, dabbed at her eyes. She knew the truth. She knew she'd bent reality, perhaps even manipulated her son's perception of himself. But she also knew that sometimes a little bit of strategic encouragement was all a genius needed to bloom. And sometimes the kindest lie is the one you tell to help someone find their truth.